Welcome everyone to another edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. I am your hardcore host Rick Head, and I'm joined by the hardcore crew. But first, I want to give a quick shout out to our good friends Mr. and Mrs. A over at BC Games and More. You can find them over in the group section on Facebook, where they play a lot of old retro games. They do trivia, give out gifts, and much, much more. Again, BC Games and More. Just do the hashtag, and you can find them. All right. So, for the hardcore crew, we have the incomparable Lance Moss over at Lance Moss TV. Lance, what's going on?
Not much. Had a hell of a show last night. Thank you both for being on. And let's have some fun tonight.
Yeah, always a pleasure to hang out with Lance Moss. And then, of course, last and certainly not least, he's the Lord Skelter himself, Joseph Knight. Joe, what's going on?
Nothing much. I got to say this, BC Games and More. BC and Mrs. Ace donated a bunch of Super Famicom games to me. Rare Japanese Super Nintendo games. I did a little stream last night. Everybody liked it. Got my ass kicked by Sailor Mars from the Sailor Moon game. But you know what? I'm ready to bring my intelligence level down because it is WWE's Extreme Rules we're going to be talking about.
That it is. Well, we have some other news as well, but you know what? Since everyone wants the Torture Joe, we'll jump right to the Extreme Rules. All right. Well, one of the main matches, or the highlight matches, it's going to be Edge versus Finn Balor, and that's going to be an I Quit match. And from what I read earlier, Booker T was talking about Edge and how he had said that he was, he was getting sore and his bones were starting to really get sore after each match. So Booker T seems to think this might be his last run, if not his last match. So, but you know what, guys? I'm gonna have to give the win to Finn Balor. So, Joe, what's your pick?
Wow. Yeah, you know what? I am going to have to give the win to Finn Balor as well. I know they need to give him a push. Edge doesn't need this. Edge is already Brokeback Shaggy's done. He's like CM Punk. He was brought back for the pop. All right, nothing against the guy. He's a multi-time champion. But now it's time to move somebody else into that. And I think, Rick, we need to give Finn Balor that big push. And before I finish here, over at the YouTube chat room, Terry3G says, evening to all. How you doing, Terry?
Welcome aboard, Terry. And again, Terry, please feel free to give us your picks for the night. Lance, what's your pick, Finn Balor or Edge?
By hook or by crook, I see Finn winning.
You know what? By Cook could be right because, I wouldn't be surprised if Judgment Day plays a hand in this match.
Yeah.
All right. And moving on, it's going to be Imperium versus the Bruisers, the Brawling Bruisers, forgive me, and they're going to be in what's called, or they're calling it, fucking Donnybrook match, which is basically an Extreme Rules. I don't understand the difference between Extreme Rules or that, Joe, aside from it just having a fancy name to it.
Yeah, again, WWE has to add these fancy names to it because, let's face it, it makes it you go out there, that sells the match. You know, this whole Donnybrook match, and there is no such thing. Let me just say this. There is no such thing as a Donnybrook match. So, the term came from Jim Ross and Tony Schiavone back in the NWA days, even maybe Gorilla Monsoon, when everything just went chaotic and punches are being thrown. That's a Donnybrook match. Like I said, looking at this, I'm kind of thinking... this is a toss-up for me because the main people here, Gunther and Sheamus, they make the team. So I'm kind of perplexed on this outcome here. If I have to say it, because this should play to, they play to both guys, but I'm going to have to say the Brawling Brutes, just because I like that name.
All right, I guess that would be a way to put your prediction in. I don't know. Imperium has been having the upper hand over the Brawling Brutes, so I think this might be their match, Lance. I'm not sure.
Well, I'm giving it to the Brawling Brutes because, well, I'm a Pete Dunne fan.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So, right now, and then we have, it's going to be Drew McIntyre versus Karrion Kross in a strap match. Now, Joe, I used to love the old strap matches where you would have to actually touch each turnbuckle to get the win. This seems like it's just a weapon they're going to use to wear your opponent down and get the pin. I would like to see Drew McIntyre get the win, but with Sexy Scarlett at the side, I'm going to have to wonder if Karrion Kross is going to pull this out.
Well, first of all, Terry 3D. There's my Taz impression. He agrees with Lance with the Finn prediction. When I look at this, they need to give the match to Karrion Kross because he just returned. They want to make him look strong. And again, Rick, I agree with you. With Scarlett in his corner, Rhett Butler's gonna do well. He's gonna go over Drew. I think it's not gonna be an easy match the way I see it, and I think they're just gonna forego the touching the four corners. This will probably be just one of those things where they go with that. We don't know. This is WWE. They love changing the match rules to fit their narrative. But I got to see Karrion Kross go over because he's another guy. They got to oomph. They got to move forward. And anytime Drew can win a return match later down the road, I got to say Karrion Kross with Scarlett in his corner, and Terry says he also goes for the Brawling Brutes, and here he votes for McIntyre, Rick.
Interesting, because, again, I mean, don't get me wrong, I love Drew McIntyre. I am a fan of Karrion Kross, but as you said it, Joe, Kross just came back, so he needs this win. Lance, now correct me if I'm wrong. There is a difference between a strap match and a Texas strap match. Am I not mistaken?
That I'm not sure.
Well, okay. I'm glad I asked you then. Well, all right.
What was the question, Rick? What was the question?
The difference between a Texas strap match and a strap match. I wasn't sure if the Texas strap match is where they did four corners or they're just But again, I was just trying to get some kind of clarification. Nevertheless,
I could tell you right now, the Texas match, it is the four corners tag. We got to touch all four turnbuckles. They even have a Mexican version, so it's the same thing, touching all four corners. Regular strap match, I believe Dusty did it with Tully Blanchard back in the mid '80s, and it was just beat the hell out of your opponent until he can't go anymore.
All right. Well, we're going to move on to Matt Riddle versus Seth Rollins. This has been a long feud going. This has been going on, since maybe a little bit past WrestleMania, if that? No, because that's right. Seth Rollins fought Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania. And then shortly after, he left. But I know that this feud has been going on for some time. So I think, honestly, Matt Riddle is going to have to... I think he might get over it. This is a pit fight match. And I guess from what Lance is telling me, there's a special ref, MMA legend, Daniel Cormier. So I think, honestly, Matt Riddle has the up on this one. And then apparently, from what I've been reading, Seth Rollins is the one who wanted this match. Now, for those of you who've never heard of a pit fight match, it's basically a cage, a typical MMA cage, but four corners. There's no ropes, and there's a little bit of like a scaffold, like a 15 feet above, or maybe 12 feet above, which both wrestlers can fight on, and God, of course, knock each other off or whatever. But apparently,
you can only hope.
Yeah, you can only hope. But of course, your only way to win is by knockout or submission. So, Joe, this is pretty much any close as you can to a MMA fight.
Yep, and this is going to cater to Riddle because Riddle was an MMA fighter. So I think this is a way of kind of giving him a little bit of the nod also, because Seth has been here. Seth has been to the mountaintop too many times. You know, Mr. Lynch needs to go and take some time off or pursue someone else, because that's the problem when they use Seth Rollins. They keep using him over and over and over. It just gets annoying after a while. So I say in this case, it makes a lot of sense. This is a match where Riddle, it's an expert in, not the scaffold. Lord knows they're not going to have him repeat the Night of the Skywalkers from the old NWA, WCW. But I got to say, Rick, you're going to see some action up there, but it's the main battle is going to happen in the cage. So I hate, as much as I hate both guys, you know, I got to say Riddle in this case. Terry also says he's going to guess Riddle is going to get the push here. And he did clarify something, Rick. He reminded me something. The Texas strap match does include a cowbell in the middle. So thank you.
Oh, that's
Terry.
right.
I thought that was a bull rope.
Well, it could either be one, but I think there is a cowbell because Dusty Rhodes had it against Tully Blanchard. So,
all right. Lance, over to you. Your pick: Matt Riddle or Seth Rollins?
Well, because he's actually been in a couple of these before, I'm giving it to the resident bro of the WWE, Matt Riddle.
All right. Well, there you have it. And now on to the next match. It is going to be Bayley versus Bianca Belair for the Raw Women's title, and it's going to be a ladder match. Now, Bianca Belair has pretty much had the one-up over everybody. Now, Bayley, she's come in strong with this new look and new attitude. And honestly, I'm honestly tossed on this one, guys, because I could see Bianca Belair defending her title, but I could also see Bayley getting her getting a title run. Lance, what's your pick?
Well, I'm giving it to Bayley with interference from the other members of Damage Control.
Good point. Very good point. Joe, over to you. Your pick.
This is going to be a good match. Both girls can work. You know, Bianca has improved. Bayley I love the evil gimmick. She finally got rid of that streamers on the arms, the Macho Man jacket. You know, she's had a lot of time off. So, honestly, this is a seesaw match for me. I really can't pick a good winner because I think it's too soon for Bayley just to swoop in and snatch this belt from Bianca. I think it needs a little bit more time to keep building this feud. I'm going to say Bianca is winning this match, but Lord knows she's going to get the beat down by Bayley and her crew right afterwards.
All right. Now, the main event is going to be Ronda Rousey versus Liv Morgan. And this is for the SmackDown Women's Championship and Extreme Rules. Basically, again, like before, it's just like anything goes. Now, Liv Morgan's held this title for quite some time. I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey. I'm really not. So do I see her winning the title? Unfortunately, it's a possibility. So for me, it's kind of like a 60-40, leaning towards Ronda Rousey. Joe, what's your pick?
God. Now, let me just say this. Liv Morgan is eye candy. There's nothing wrong with that. She's eye candy. By the way, Terry says he goes for Bayley because of her crew. So, all right. So that's his prediction for that match. For Liv Morgan, oh my God, what a disaster that character is. You got to look at her matches, Rick. That's basically the decider there. And I don't think she's had one good match. She's botched a lot of spots. Her crying tear moments have come and gone. She's basically already, this character is done. You know, it's just they need someone else to really swoop in and take this belt off this damn girl. Because Again, nothing against her. She's great eye candy. That's all she is, eye candy. Oh my God, there's something else. There's Dan Lambert. Okay, there we are. We have the tears bullshit is done. She can't wrestle for shit. If you put her in, what was the girl's name? Robbie that does the Harley Quinn in the movies. You got a semi-decent actor and a lousy wrestler. So, both are great eye candy. They should be in porn because that's how great they are. I seen Ronda Rousey's videos because she does post on Facebook a lot. Yes, you can look her up. She's Ronda Rousey. She does follow through. She's kind of happy being semi, Rick. She's raising her daughter, child, whatever it was. She's very close to this. She does spot shows in her area, and she's not afraid to say that like that. So I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say the cry-eyed, teared botchamania girl is going to keep her title, but it's going to be another one that gets her ass handed to her. I think it's just going to go over where Liz is just going to get the beat down after beat down after beat down, and she's going to probably trip on her own feet and pin Ronda Rousey. So I'm going to have to give this one to Liv Morgan because of Ronda's part-time status, and I don't know who else is up and coming right now in the SmackDown division. So there you go. I to me, it's like this is coffee, piss break, popcorn time. This is go look at porn because this is more. It's going to be more interesting than this match.
I spend too much time watching porn than this is, so
Yeah, this is that match where you go back and rather watch the birth of the hand from freaking, the old lady and Mark Henry. I'd rather watch the Fabulous Moolah take on Wendy Richter at WrestleMania 1.
Which was horrible. Oh, God.
Than watch this match because I can't stand. I cheered for Liv Morgan. She was going to make it sometime. She did it, Rick, and she's lousy.
I know.
She's the honky tonk man in woman's form. Well, who should we give the belt to? Let's give it to her.
Let's just toss it to her. Here you go.
Yeah, let's just toss it to her.
All right.
Fucking so go ahead, Lance.
Lance, over to you.
Well, since Liv's got this thing where she kind of goes ballistic over the past couple of weeks, and this is an Extreme Rules match, I kind of got to give the edge to Liv.
All right. Well, there you have it, guys. I'm not sure of any more matches. Right now, there's only 6 matches that's been announced yet, so I'm not sure if
SmackDown is Friday. So
yeah, exactly. So there's very well could have another match or two added. Not to mention, they tend to add a extra kickoff match just for shits and giggles, unannounced. But we'll see what happens. Dan Lambert has given an update on his AEW status. Apparently, Lambert has made clear that he would gladly come back under the right circumstances, but right now his time is done because he feels there's no place for him in the company. This is what he had to say. Scorpio Sky is going to take a couple of months off because he had injured knee. And Paige, which he's referring to, Ego Paige, is getting repackaged and he's now doing is now hanging out with the firm. So right now, I just thought it was a good time for me to leave. Yeah, and you know what, Joe? I think he's right. I think Dan Lambert, even though he's really, as a character, he's annoying and, one of the huge heels, he's not doing anything. So he knew to step aside was the right thing.
Oh, absolutely. His time has come. It's time for him to kind of move into that, kind of get out of the spotlight for now. They used him as a heel. He did what he had to do, and I think that is it. There's nothing else for him to accomplish. I obviously Ethan Page and Scorpio Sky are going to have another gig to do. It's called cozying up to Page so they can come on a belt together, that type of deal. So, yeah, there's no reason for this guy to be there. He's he's made his thing. He's done. I even forgot who the girl he was managing, who does lousy
You're talking
promos.
about Paige Vazant, and she disappeared out of thin air.
Yeah, because they knew she was lousy.
I think she started fighting again.
Oh, really?
She's back in MMA. Really quick, Terry 3G says he does feel that this is time for Ronda to take the title back she gave up to Liv Morgan. Yeah, she did give the belt back to Liv Morgan. He says, I'd rather listen to Vicky Guerrero than Dan Lambert. No. You know why? I'd rather listen to Vicky Guerrero, yes. But I can't stand the guy that comes out with her to fight in women's matches.
Oh, yeah.
Hang on. That's Joe at Golden Drum Back.
I did not say anything, Lance. I wasn't saying the certain individual.
All right. Let's move on.
But it's the last name is like almost matches Flowers. And she's like a hose. It's a hose. So you could just change the letter.
Lance, your thoughts on Dan Lambert leaving AEW?
I mean, he made a good piss off the crowd heel, but it's just time for him to go back to his day job and run American Top Team, the MMA team.
Yeah, because the top 10 in AEW really didn't do much. So
they're badass in UFC, but not that bad in AEW.
Yeah. All right. Moving along, there's a new series going to be on Vice TV coming on, and it's called Tales from the Territories. And this goes all the way back this actually started last night and at 10 p.m. And the first episode focused on Memphis wrestling. That's your area, Lance, with Jerry Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, and Jerry Jarrett, Jimmy Hart, Dutch Mantel, and also The Rock is doing like a commentary. So it's going to be a roundtable discussion, I guess, something, Joe, similar to what if you remember what the Legends of Wrestling WWE did for a while, but never really took off.
You know, there is a YouTube channel, and I can't remember the name. The guy does Back to the Territory. This is very similar as well to kayfabe commentaries when they did they used to do territories. It'll be Jim Cornette hosting, and he will talk to the Back to the Territories. They'll talk about different territories. I love this. This is a time to show what wrestling was back in the day, and what better way to start than the hottest area in professional wrestling, even before the WWE took steam. You're talking about Memphis wrestling, Jerry Jarrett running the freaking Memphis, along with Jackie Fargo, along with Jerry the King Lawler, along with Bill Dundee, and many, many guys, except for the fucking son of Jarrett, who didn't learn shit. You know, I love this idea. I love how they're doing this. And you could tell, in my perspective, people miss the territories. People miss that way of wrestling. We all know today is so overexposed, overdone. But back then, you could turn on and look at professional wrestling. You did not know what the hell they were doing. It looked all real. You know, when I saw Roddy Piper smash a coconut on Jimmy Snuka, I said, holy shit. When I saw freaking, you know, Eddie Gilbert trying to run Jerry Lawler with a car, holy shit.
Yeah.
You know, it's that type it's stuff that, you know, today they couldn't get away with because of today's generation is fucking full of wimps and pussies who can't wake up and see reality. But this is a series I'm gonna sit down and love, and if I can download it and save it, or if I could buy the DVDs once they have.
If you have Vice TV on streaming, you can do that.
Yeah.
Now, the first episode is on Vice's YouTube page.
Yeah. Oh, there you go. And which I didn't get. Say again, Lance. I'm sorry.
The first episode, I mean.
Yes.
Of it is.
So, Lance, what's your thoughts on this new Tales from the Terry series?
Well, if it's anything like the other wrestling series that Vice has produced, this is going to be very well done. And like Joe says, you got to start with the top.
Absolutely. So, moving on. Wrong button. Sorry. Apparently, Hulu has negotiated a deal with WWE to keep On Demand. There was a couple of weeks ago where it wasn't sure if Hulu was just gonna, WWE was just gonna go away and Hulu would have no on-demand content. But apparently that is not the case. So they had made a deal, and so now it won't be exclusive on Peacock. So right now, unfortunately, Peacock is not monopolizing WWE content, Joe.
Well, you know what? Better for them. They're trying to make money. They're trying to do this. This is something that, it's unnecessary. They want to keep the content. They want to keep it exclusive. They want to have all this to themselves. In the era that we have Disney, we have so many other streaming services. Of course, you want to keep everything to you. What you want to do that. That's the way of doing business. Vince McMahon used to do it all the time, so it's not a surprise to me.
All right, Lance, your thoughts.
The more distribution they have, the better.
Yeah, and that's very short put and well said. So you know what? We're gonna move on real quick. And now we know that Brock Lesnar is going to be going to Crown Jewel, but right now he doesn't have any opponent. Thankfully, Goldberg won't be there. He's already confirmed that he's not going to Crown Jewel. He's officially retired. So that leaves a lot of other people questioning who's going to be, facing, who will face Goldberg. If I'm not mistaken, Roman Reigns is going to be facing Logan Paul there. Oh, that's a fucking nightmare.
Why the fuck
is
he facing Logan fucking Paul?
I don't know. The guy's had 3-4 matches in the company?
Two. One at Mania, one at SummerSlam. That's it.
You would figure the guy would start wrestling more often. I don't know about you, Joe. I mean, let's talk about this Logan Paul for 1 second. How can somebody get a title match after only 3 matches?
Because we're referring to Brock Lesnar, correct?
No, we're talking about. I kind of ranted off a little bit because we were talking about the possibility of who will face Goldberg, and Roman Reigns can't fight him because he's facing this guy Logan Paul, who's only had this will be his 3rd match at Crown Jewel.
Well, obviously they wanted to they wanted to give Roman a different guy. That's as much as anything. That's pretty much what they wanted to do. Give it to
They wanted to give Roman the night off.
Yeah, that literally. Now, as if it's Brock is going to be there, obviously, yeah, you probably want to give him Goldberg just to have this match again that probably over there the Saudis have never seen, but they've never seen clean water either, and camels with 1 hump. So,
That's Joe Hatchful in the run back.
They know already about it. Every time I can't go to Saudi Arabia. Every time I check in the hotel, they're missing the white sheets, and every time I go to the show, you can see them all.
Oh, so, Jesus Christ!
It's like a clan meeting in Saudi Arabia.
Oh God.
But
okay, going back to Brock Lesnar, there have been some names have been tossed around. Karrion Kross, Drew McIntyre, and also another one suggested Tyson Fury. I don't know, Lance, if any of these names would even be plausible.
Okay, let's break this down. Drew McIntyre, you don't want to squash him because anybody that faces Brock is going to get squashed. Karrion Kross, he just came back. You don't really want to do that to him. Tyson Fury, if he loses to Brock, really no big deal. So, yeah, let's go with Tyson.
Hey, Rick, what about Dominic Mysterio? They need to give him some sort of legit push.
Okay, do you really see him facing Brock Lesnar?
No, but it would be a great comedy match just to see him trying to be Little Mac taking on Big Bald Bull. And just trying to, like, yeah. And you can see, might as well bring Coco Beware to be in his corner and say, Mac, you got to keep your arms up. Keep him out. It's like, Doc, he's killing me. You know? But I'm just throwing names because you need to start putting other people out there than the obvious people. So, and again, if anybody got offended by what I said earlier, fuck you, go spit on a camel.
All right. Well, we have one last topic, of course. We have a legend, Antonio Inoki, passed away at the age of 79 this past week. Inoki began his wrestling career in 1960, where he quickly became a star, and going on to become a huge draw for decades. He's widely known for being a founder of New Japan Pro Wrestling and having infamous fight against Muhammad Ali in 1976. He also headlined shows in North Korea with Ric Flair, and which also had some legendary matches as well. Inoki was the first Japanese WWF champion reign, which he doesn't, the company does not recognize even after he passed away. They refused to, for some reason. It's kind of like a shadow. It's like a Chris Benoit thing. They just don't want to talk about it. Didn't happen. Also, I didn't even know this one, that he also won the WWF/WWF Martial Arts Championship, which he was inducted. That was an interesting title. So that must have been Joe early in the years, and he was also inducted this past year. I'm sorry, and wow, he was inducted in the year 2010 Hall of Fame.
Yes, you know what? And here's a guy who has done so much for the wrestling business. He was also teamed with a young Hulk Hogan when they first did the IWGP tournaments. Hogan beat Antonio Inoki for the IWGP Heavyweight Championship. So, and obviously Inoki won it back from him. We already know he's actually took on boxer Muhammad Ali in a famous boxer versus wrestler match. So he's done a lot for the professional wrestling, more in Japan than here in the States. Now, he's still done many things here in the States, but he has done a lot. Rick, one of the things too is he's one of the rare individuals who transcended professional wrestling into politics. He was elected to the seat of the Japanese House of Councilors, which is kind of like our Senate. And he was the first individual. He successfully negotiated a deal with Saddam Hussein during the Gulf War back in I believe it was 1989, and for the release of Japanese hostages. So Antonio Inoki has done a lot for the wrestling business. He founded New Japan Professional Wrestling, which you can see it still today. I gotta say, it's so sad we're losing such a greats in professional wrestling. And he will be missed because he has done a lot.
Yeah, but again, I got to go back to the big question. Why is WWE not recognizing him as a former WWF champion, even today's date?
Well, you know what? Because it doesn't fit into their books. You remember, WWE has to control the narrative. And when that title switch happened, that was a test. It's done today. WWE does it today. Mostly professional companies do it today. They'll test the audience out to see if they're susceptible to somebody else winning the belt. And in this case, they tried it with Antonio Inoki. It didn't really hold weight back in the day. So obviously they just Okay, well, you know what? Didn't work. We won't recognize it. It is just like, in fact, here's a little bit of history real quick. Greg Gagne won the AWA World Heavyweight Championship from Larry Zbyszko, but they gave it back to Larry because the crowd wasn't really into Greg. So this is what you call phantom title reigns, where they'll test out an individual, they'll win a belt, they and then they'll take it off him. Same thing happened with Harley Race. He has a phantom win over Ric Flair, and they just gave it back to Flair just to test it out. It happens in professional wrestling, so don't be surprised they don't recognize it, even though it's right out there. But without video proof, without pictures, without all this, WWE is just going to ignore it. And also, another thing, Rick, it goes by who is running WWE. They don't have to recognize an individual. They don't have to.
Yeah. Well, Lance, again, like I said, I found it funny that they did recognize Antonio Inoki, but again, not that title. And as Joe said, there have been phantom titles back and forth. But your thoughts? Do you have any thoughts on this great wrestler?
Honestly, I'm not that well versed on Mr. Inoki. I know, but pretty much what I know is basically what all was just said. But they kind of acknowledged it on Monday. They kind of didn't, because I think Corey Graves pretty much said that Inoki was a non-recognized former WWE champ. Like, kind of did, kind of didn't.
Yeah. Well, I think also with the new regime in the WWE, they probably would have no problem saying, you know what, yeah, let's at least tip the hat to him.
I'm waiting for them to recognize the real number with Ric Flair.
And that would be
21.
Yeah, well, again, I think some of those titles were indie titles. They weren't really like,
No, they're in NWA and they were in WWF.
Yeah, Rick.
WCW.
I can. Back before Vince took over, the NWA was in the NWA World Heavyweight Championship was recognized by the WWF and even the WWF prior to Hulk Hogan's arrival. So Ric Flair, actually, you could say he was the first world champion. Well, I shouldn't say first world champion, but he was recognized as the NWA world champion in the WWF territory, even in the ranking system. So that kind of shows you where the narratives control. If they don't have, somebody, Vince Jr. took over, when Vince Sr. said, okay, you know what? I recognize Ric Flair as an NWA World Heavyweight Champion because they were all in the territories. Vince took over, said, fuck no, Hulk Hogan's the World Heavyweight Champion. It goes by whoever's running the narrative. The victor who wins the war is always the one that changes history.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we have seen that time and time again, especially in the WWE. There is one more topic I do want to talk about. We have a little bit more time left. Rachel Gonzalez recently spoke with Steve Fall of NBC Sports, and she suggested she would like to see a mid-card title for the women's division. And she short said that a mid-card women's champion would be a huge leap for the division. And to be honest, Joe, I don't think the WWE needs any more titles.
No, they really have a lot of issues right now with the titles they have now. So
they have 11, 12 titles?
Yeah, they don't need that. They obviously don't need that. So, again, this is a way. It's a smart thing. I'll say this. It is a smart thing if you want to give more people titles. Every company, again, other companies have done this as well. So it's not a shocker. But, it's just something where it would be, it's not necessary, but if you look at it for all the talent they have, makes kind of sense. If you want to give lower echelon guys a shot, had a title. That's why they have the AEW All Atlantic title to give the lower echelon guys a chance.
Yeah, and I think over AEW, I think they do have 2 women's titles, but obviously it's a TBS title and just the AEW title, which in that one perspective, yes, the TBS title I guess you would say is one step above like the old Intercontinental days of the WWE. Let me say over WWF days. Lance, what do you think about Rachel Gonzalez's thoughts or comments regarding her wanting another title or a mid-card title for the women's division?
Well, I disagree because you'd have to do 2 belts, one for Raw, one for SmackDown, and which will mean you'd have 5 women's belts. No,
if you can NXT, but
yeah, but I'm talking.
Now Gonzalez is down in NXT, am I correct?
No.
Oh, she got pushed up. Okay.
Yeah. I personally think they have enough women's belts for right now until the both women, main brands rosters for women get bigger. Then yeah, but they have enough belts right now.
Yeah, I think they have too many titles, and I certainly have plenty of wrestlers. Let's get that straight. I don't think they need any more wrestlers. But you know what, guys? We're going to wrap up this edition of Hardcore Wrestling Rants. Be sure to like and subscribe to us on our HWR YouTube page. We also have a chat room, which we post news every day. And that's over in the group section, Facebook.groups/HWR chat room. So be sure to check us out. Joe, you're over at Skull and Realms. What do you got going on?
Well, guys, definitely check me out. Do the hashtag Scoldrens Realm. I am on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. I'm also on Instagram and Twitter, just at Scoldren. Last night, I did my Super Famicom games review. Again, thank you, BC Games and More, for donating those games. Right now, I'm going to be doing a little bit more of the Resident Evil series. Halloween is approaching, so we got to start getting those Halloween games out. So I'm going to be doing that, Rick. And like I said, starting next year, we're going to go venturing back into a realm of professional wrestling. I've been dragged out from under the bed, so they want me to come back. So I'm going to be doing that. Terry says, great show as always. Have a good rest of your night. Thank you, Terry. You too. So definitely check me out. Hashtag Scoldrens Realm.
And again, yes, I would love to thank Terry3G, who always shows up and hangs out and puts his thoughts in. Lance, you're at Lance Moss TV. What do you got going on over there?
Right now, it's just Lance Moss TV and Friends coffee time every Tuesday night at 8:05 Eastern, 7:05 Central. Everywhere else, you do the math. Or we shoot the shit for an hour and a half, 2 hours, something like that. And like I said last night, Boss and Joe showed up. So, like I said, we never know who's going to show up.
And there you have it. So, for the Hardcore Crew, I'm your hardcore host, Rick Head, saying, we'll see you when we see you.
Buy the shirt!
And if you skinflints want to buy the damn shirt, just go to scoldrensrealm.live. Hit that merch button and you'll see all of our shirts of the HWR crew. Go there and buy it, you goddamn skinflints.
Yeah, we need the money.
Yeah, we need beer money.
You want James Storm and Rick and Robert Roode?
Well, it'd be great to have them if we had money, so it'd be a start.
Good
night, all.
I want Lita and Trish.